Hey, I'm Sarah. I'm a realtor who helps first-time homebuyers navigate the real estate market. Welcome back and thank you for joining me on my third video in my educational series for first-time homebuyers. So we've gone through steps 1 and 2, and today we're going to talk about step 3, which is the fun part, actually shopping for your new house. But 3 very important things that I want you to keep in mind or consider, 3 very important factors to think about when you are thinking about what you want in a home. So let's jump right in. So first and foremost, and probably one of the most important factors to consider when thinking about buying real estate, and I'm sure you've heard it before, location. That's right, location, location, location. So think about what's most important to you in terms of where your new home is located. Do you want a short commute to the office? Or do you want to be close to nightlife and clubs? Or maybe you're a foodie and want to be within walking distance to the trendiest restaurants. Think about not only where you want to be right now, but also even 3 or 5 years down the road. A home purchase is a big investment, and chances are you're going to be in that house for several years. So remember to think long-term as well. If starting a family is in your plans for the next few years, you may want to consider what school district you'd like to be in, or your proximity to parks and playgrounds. So now that you know exactly where you want to be, that brings us to the second factor that's very important to consider, and it's pretty obvious: price. Now hopefully you've watched my other videos in this series and you've already spoken with the lender, you've already been pre-approved, so you already know what your budget is. But outside of purchase price, there are a couple other sort of unexpected things I want you to think about that could greatly impact your monthly payment. Number 1, taxes. Always make sure you're aware of what your annual property taxes will be. And secondly, HOA dues. Depending on the type of neighborhood that you live in, you may have an HOA, which charges fees on an annual basis. Okay, now that brings us to the third thing you should consider when starting to look for a new house, and that is condition. Are you looking for something new and move-in ready? Or are you willing to get your hands a little dirty and take on a fixer-upper or a home that needs some projects? Now, before you go thinking that you're the next Chip and Joanna Gaines and want to buy a fixer-upper, let me just remind you that what you see on HGTV is not reality. So unless you have prior experience with that type of work, you're probably best to stay away from that type of a house. These shows on HGTV, you have to remember, have project managers, they have large, experienced crews at their service, and they have access to tons of different types of tools and materials. Trust me when I tell you that most home projects aren't as easy as just watching a couple YouTube videos and then tearing down a few walls. When you're looking at a house that needs a little work, remember it's just that, it's work. It takes time, it takes patience, and most importantly, it takes money. And guess what? There's absolutely no shame in buying a move-in ready home, especially as a first-time home buyer. Many times it's better to really understand what homeownership is all about before you go tackling major renovations and getting completely in over your head. So if you found this information helpful but maybe have more questions, feel free to leave me one in the comments. I'd be happy to help. In the meantime, happy house hunting!